Yo, 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 yo. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Duval County Rams fan Ramtastic podcast episode 2. Episode 2. Yes. Yes, yes. This is basically going to be a just a little podcast I'm doing where basically I'll be talking just talking and ranting and raving about the Rams. A lot like with my YouTube videos, except here it'll be a little longer. I like to go into a little more depth about what I'm talking about on these podcasts. And yeah, that's just pretty much what it is. And today we're gonna be talking about with training camp. Let me back up a little bit. With training camp coming in later this month, and football season's about here, y'all. We are almost here. Next month, like we're gonna get preseason games. We're gonna be able to see football, Rams football on an actual football field. And I don't know if y'all feel the same, but this off season has gone so uncharacteristically fast, if I pronounce that right. It has gone by so fast. On the one hand, there was a part of me that wanted this off season to last forever because, as silly as that sounds, just because of the feeling that we won the Super Bowl. It still almost feels a little unreal, a little surreal, the fact that they actually won the damn thing finally. And I just kind of been trying to hold on to that because obviously with next season coming up, the odds of us repeating, though I think we can do it, the odds of repeating are generally very low. So odds are we won't be the champions next season. So I wanted to hold on to that feeling of we're Super Bowl champions as long as I could. And and I believe that's what's caused this offseason to go by so fast. But um now I'm in a position where I kind of want to just I want to see us play again because I want to see how these new pieces are going to fit on our team, and I'm excited to see a bunch of them. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. It's next month we'll be getting preseason action, during training camp. And speaking of training camp, there will be position battles going on. So, what am I about to talk about today? Well, bam, the Rams 53-man roster projections. Where LA's depth creates tough decisions. Yes, it will. And so, we are going to do a little bit of a 53-man roster preview. Now, this is subject to change. This is subject to change. Obviously, as training camp goes on, as we learn a few more things from the players and how they perform in training camp, I believe there will be some standouts. There's always going to be standouts, but I think we'll have a few standouts from a surprising source. So maybe like an undrafted free agent. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe we'll get either an undrafted free agent or like one of our lower round picks, like uh, exceeding his expectation, so to speak, and that might throw a few wrinkles in a future decision. But we're just going off pre-training camp, and we're gonna talk about these projections and what I think they're gonna be, and what this author thinks it's gonna be too here on Ramps Wire. All right, here we go. Less than a month, like I was saying. We're gonna start with quarterbacks. All right, quarterbacks. Who who's gonna be on the team? One, Matthew Stafford. Yes, that's probably the easiest answer out of any position on this entire team. Yes, Matthew Stafford is the starter. Matthew Stafford is making the team. And then we have John Wolford, number two. I agree with this decision. I think John Wolford is a lot better than a lot of people think. I am very comfortable with riding with John Wolford for any minor amount of time that we may have to see in case, knock on wood, Matthew goes down for like a few weeks or so. Hopefully that won't happen. He's pretty durable, like I said, knock on wood. I don't think it's gonna happen, but if it does, I gotta be honest, I am pretty comfortable with John Wolford. I don't think we need to go out and get any free agent quarterback if that situation were to arise. I think we are good to go. John Wolford, his number two spot is secured, and I agree wholeheartedly with this decision here. Bryce Perkins is another one, and I agree too. I believe the Rams are going to be holding on to three quarterbacks this year, just like last year. Sean's usually known for keeping two quarterbacks, but last year he kept three for like the first time ever. And a big reason of that is this young man, Bryce Perkins. He performed pretty well in the preseason last year, and he is. They spent so much time developing him. It would be a shame if he got picked up and got put on another team or even a division rival team, and to see Bryce Perkins like play well, like against us, because we put so much development and time and energy into him. And there were some teams that were interested, like in scooping him up last year, you know, and that if we would have kept put him on the practice squad, I feel like someone would have signed him, and we would have lost out. So I think keeping him on the roster was a wise decision, and I do believe he's number three. I am actually very interested to see how he will perform if he has worked on his craft at any point throughout last season. Hopefully he did. While the team was playing, ideally you want to be working on your like mechanics and studying the playbook and stuff like that, because when you get the next opportunity, you really want to shine, and hopefully that will be make you much more attractive to the team, and you would make the team, you would make the cut, and there might be a chance of them playing you at some point if you keep getting better. And that's what happened to Bryce last year. I think that was also a very wise decision. I liked what I saw out of him. He's very athletic. He just got to get a little better, with making his reads and making the throws. But that comes with reps, man. And he hasn't had a lot of reps, so he's making the most with what he has, and he will once again be doing that in a few weeks' time. So we'll see how he does. We'll see how he does. I'm interested to see if he's improved. If he has, let's go ahead and keep him. So we would have three people on the team here. All right, running backs. We're gonna go with four, and we're gonna go with Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Kyrene Williams, Jake Funk. You got Cam Akers, who, as y'all know, is coming off that ACL injury, but miraculously, he was able to actually come back in just a few months, which is a little unheard of, and was able to kind of help us with our playoff push in 2021. Didn't perform particularly well in the Super Bowl or late in the playoffs, but it wasn't all his fault. We were facing some pretty good defenses, and they were able to kind of lay the hammer down on us. But I believe that Cam is gonna have a big year. I think he bounces back. I think he's hungry for it. So I'm very excited to see him in action. He was very talented at Florida State. He works very well with a kind of poor offensive line, and I think the injury was unfortunately a little bit of a setback. But I just get this feeling like I don't think it's the norm. So I think he's going to be all right. I think Cam Akers obviously is our starter, and I think he comes back with a vengeance there. And we move on to Daryl Henderson Jr. I think he makes the roster as well, though he is someone who has been quite injury prone. So unfortunately, I like Daryl, but it's just we'll have to see. He just well, I'm just. It's just every year it just seems like something else comes up. It just seems like every year something else comes up. So and when he does play, he's pretty good, but he just there's always something, and he always kind of misses a good amount of time. And I'm not trying to blame Daryl. It's not his fault. It's just it is what it is. He just you got to be able to stay on the field. So Daryl is definitely our number two, but I could see a situation where he may get an injury, and then some of our younger guys may step up and maybe kind of take a little bit of his playing time if they're able to perform well. And that leads me going to number three, Kyrene Williams, who is interesting because he is a rookie and someone that Sean has spoken very highly of when he was drafted in this past year's draft. And the thing about him is I really didn't know anything about him before the drafts. A lot of people have been saying he's really, really good. He's a good, very physical runner. Oh, excuse me, guys. Very, very physical runner. Good in short yardage situations. And yeah, he should be able to get us them tough yards. But what I think they drafted him for was the fact that he is very good in pass pro. And I can see him in a situation coming down, maybe starting out as a third down back, where Sean likes to. I can see Sean going back to his empty sets. I think he might try to do it again this year, which is fine. But I hope we don't go backwards. I hope he realizes that when he maintained a more balanced approach, we started to perform better in the later half of the year. And I just hope that, and I think he does, and I think Sean knows that not to necessarily go backwards and to kind of go back to like the empty sets, ignoring the run game, things of that nature. But I do see a situation where he's definitely gonna want to try it again, because I think ultimately that's what Sean prefers to do, is to kind of get empty sets, get Matthew out there, and just kind of dice up defenses. And look, if it works, it works. But that's a conversation for another day. We need to maintain balance. But I could see him using Kyrene Williams as a potentially important piece to protect Matthew Stafford in those sets. To kind of, because he was very good at that in college, and I could see him doing that. A lot of people are very excited about him. I've heard other Rams YouTubers say they even expect him to be the starter by the end of the year. That I don't really know. That's pretty high praise, and I gotta say, if that does happen, I will be very excited, because I mean we need that kind of short, kind of physical runner to pick up those 1-2 yards, like when we're on the goal line or something. And I'm very interested to see how he does. I know he had the injury, the foot injury. I believe he should be good by the time camp starts. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that he's should be good to go in camp when camp rolls around. So I'm gonna be keeping my eye on him. I'm very excited. I don't know if we'll see him in the preseason, but I think he could be good. He could be a good addition to our team. So Kyrie Williams as the number 3 back, and I believe has the potential to maybe go up to the number 2 back. Because unfortunately, I like Daryl a lot, man, but dude gets injured a lot, like I was just saying. But yeah, so that's Kyrie Williams. Number 4, he said, is Jake Funk, and I would agree with that. I would agree with that. That kind of leaves what Xavier Jones and Raymond Calais kind of the odd men out, unless maybe they want to keep a few extra more running backs, but I don't know if they will. And but Jake Funk, it's just he's a really good special teamer, and I could see him maybe maybe kind of in a return specialist role. I am not entirely sure, but he's interesting. He got injured too. All these running backs got injured, and I'm curious to see how he will respond because, from my understanding, he already had 2 knee injuries in college. I could be getting that wrong, but it's concerning. But I hear he's very talented, and I liked what I saw from him last year in training camp, and I think he'll do well as long as he's able to stay healthy. So that's the that's the thing there. I think we have a good crop of running backs, guys. We really do. It's these guys are talented. They're physical. They're they they're not knuckleheads. They listen to Sean from all that I've seen, and they're very good. But all of them have had injuries, and yes, running back is a position where it's very there's a lot of wear and tear. There's a lot of wear and tear. They get hit a lot, but you got to stay on the field. So I think as of right now, obviously training camp there will be surprises, but I think those are the 4 running backs that we. I agree with this writer when he says these are the 4 running backs that will make the final 53-man roster, and they are all solid. All 4 of these guys are solid. So very much looking forward to seeing how they perform. All right, so we are moving on to wide receivers, and this author believes we will have 7 wide receivers. So let's go ahead and run down this list. Number 1, of course, Cooper Cup. I agree with Allen Robinson. Number 2, Van Jefferson. Number 3, Ben Schwarnick. Number 4, Tutu Atwell. Number 5, Brandon Powell. Number 6, and Jacob Harris. Number 7. And he says 7 receivers seem like a lot, but Powell is a return specialist, and Harris can also play tight end. Cutting players such as Lance McCutcheon, J.J. Koshki might be tough, but the Rams can only carry so many wideouts, and they need to save room for Odell Beckham Jr. down the line. Of course, if he decides to join us. So starting with number 1, Cooper Kupp obviously is a lock. He was the Super Bowl MVP. Dude was the best receiver in the NFL last year. He is one of my personal favorites on this team. I love his work ethic. I love how his intelligence. I love how hard he plays. How much he contributes in the run game. How versatile he is. He is the whole package, and he's our best wide receiver. Very happy to have him on the team. Number 2 was Allen Robinson. Very excited to see how he will perform. There's been a lot of good reports from coaches and other players and reporters that are actually on the ground there during OTAs that Allen was performing well. He was picking up the offense really quickly. They said he was very versatile. They even compared him to Cooper Cup. He's a big bodied receiver. I think he can help us out a lot in the red zone. Kind of help us with that average. Because believe it or not, we weren't poor. Like we weren't poor in the red zone, but we could have been a lot better. We were like middle of the pack, and I think what can help us is a big receiver like Allen, who can Matthew can just toss it up, and he can win those 50-50 balls. He has sure hands. He speaks very well. He seems like an intelligent guy. So he's probably picking up the playbook very fast. Very, very excited to see how Allen Robinson performs. So he's definitely going to be the number two. The number three, like we were saying, Van Jefferson. I like Van. He's kind of with like Cooper. Last year was Robert Woods, Odell Beckham Jr. when he came to the team. Van Jefferson he was like he was like the one kind of buried. I don't want to say buried is not the right word. He just wasn't utilized. He just the attention wasn't really on him as much as some of the other wide receivers, and I thought he played very well. I think he could be a little better, with his route running and maybe getting separation. But he's very very good though. I like Van a lot. I believe it was Van who caught Matthew Stafford's first touchdown pass, which was the second play of the first game against the Bears. That was pretty sick. And yeah, I expect him to have a better year. I've heard he's really been working out and he's been really applying himself. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs this season. I think he will do very well. We got a solid, I mean solid wide receiver group, and it's good. Wide receivers are important, and I believe it's going to be a show. There's a big chance our team could be better this year, which is crazy, and I think Van Jefferson will help with that. Number four was Ben Schwarnick. Schwarnick. Sorry, man, if I mispronounced that. I thought he was good. I liked how physical he was in like the special teams plays. I think it was him who had a big hit on one of the 49ers in in that final game of the regular season, the one which we lost in overtime. I think he laid out one of the 49ers, which I thought was sweet. And that was pretty cool, but he's got to work on his hands. He dropped a lot of balls, so I hope he's been working on the jugs machine. And we'll see how he looks in training camp. Tutu Atwell, I've already voiced my opinion on Tutu. Uh, you know, it really wasn't his fault, but I don't think we should have drafted him in the second round. I really wanted us to draft Creed Humphrey. I think Creed Humphrey would have been a tremendous addition to our team. I'm not here to, this. It's all done. It's that draft is over. That was last year, uh, and it's whatever. But it's what I felt like would have been the best. I don't think we should have got Tutu that high up, and I question his durability. I question whether or not he's able to get the separation. I think he can get the separation, but I question whether or not he'll be able to win those one-on-one battles with defensive backs because the dude is not. He's pretty short, and like the dude, some of these hits, like if you watched him last year, I kind of cringed a little bit because it looked like he was really gonna get hurt. Like he got blasted a few times last year, and he got himself injured. He like had a shoulder injury, I believe. I'm not 100%, but I want him to succeed, but I'm just not holding my breath. I'm sorry, I got to keep it real, y'all. I'm sorry, I have to keep it real. I just really don't. He just screams Tavon Austin 2.0. I'm sorry, he just he seems like a real nice guy. I don't see him being more than like a gadget player, which for a second round pick, I just feel like is a bit of a letdown, personally. Though I could be wrong. I've been wrong about a lot. I've been wrong about a lot of stuff, man. I'm not like a professional. I'm just a regular dude on YouTube. I'm just a fan who's been a fan of this team for a long time. I'm no professional analyst. I have watched this team for a long time. I do like the Rams. I like to think I know at least the basics of football and how to construct a team. But overall, I've been wrong on a lot of things. Brian Allen comes to mind, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But I was pretty much wrong about Brian. So if Tutu proves me wrong, I'll admit it. But as of right now, I just don't see it. So best of luck, Tutu. I hope you do get it. We'll see how you perform in training camp and in the preseason. So prove me wrong. Next is Brandon Powell. Very much a fan of Brandon Powell. I thought he came in at just the right time. He had a great game against the Jaguars and kind of solidified himself as the return specialist. And I'd like to see him on use on some sweep plays, gadget plays maybe, because I think he could excel at that. But we'll see what Sean decides to do with him. But very solid, and I think he'll do well for us. Number 7 was Jacob Harris, drafted as a tight end, got injured, but a lot of people think he might just be a move to wide receiver, which would be interesting. And I think that would be good because he's very athletic. He seemed to be doing a good job last year in camp and was making a lot of noise, but unfortunately he got hurt. So he just was out for like the entire season, which kind of sucked. But I think that I'm excited to see him because I think he'll do well. All right, so moving on to the tight ends, gonna be holding on to 3. Is projected Tyler Higbee, Kendall Blanton, Bryson Hopkins. I expect all 3 to make it. All 3 performed very well. Tyler unfortunately had that injury and couldn't play in the Super Bowl. Kendall Blanton, I thought, did a great job. I thought he was very physical as a blocker, and he came up big in the NFC Championship game. While Bryson Hopkins, I thought, performed pretty well too when his name was called. In fact, I thought he made some clutch catches in the Super Bowl when a lot of our guys were going down. So I believe all 3 will make it, and I expect all 3 to have improved play this upcoming season. Logan Bruss, Rob Havenstein, Alaric Jackson, Tremion Ankrum Jr., Coleman Shelton, and Bobby Evans. I believe that Joseph Noteboom will be a good replacement for Andrew Whitworth. He performed very well as like the extra like swing tackle last year when we ran the 13 personnel jumbo sets. So I believe he will fit like a glove and he'll perform very well. Next to him, David Edwards. I thought he was good. He struggled a little bit at times. I was critical of him at times. He was working out with Joe Noteboom in a recent video I did, so he's putting in the work. He's looking strong. He's looking big. So, glad he's back. I think he'll do well. And yeah, we'll see how he does. Number 3, Brian Allen. Brian. So, what can I say? I was pretty critical of Brian. He was probably the player I was most critical of last season. I was not too thrilled when we drafted Tutu Atwell as opposed to Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma because I felt Creed Humphrey could have came in and really helped our team on day 1 at the center position. I think we really needed it, and the Rams chose not to do that, and instead they went with they actually were going with I think it was Coleman Shelton, but during training camp they switched to Brian Allen, and when I heard that I was like, oh my god, okay, what are y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on? And I just felt like that was going to be such a liability for us. in the 2021 season, and I was worried. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty worried. But as the season progressed, Brian proved myself wrong. I still feel, Brian. The thing about Brian is, I know was dealing. He got sick. He was dealing with the coof. I know he had an elbow injury later in the year, and that's not easy to overcome. But I thought he still held up well, and I thought he played. He was pretty aggressive throughout most of the year. He played very well, much to my surprise, and he made me eat a little bit of crow. Which I'm fine doing. I'm fine eating crow. Because it means that we're winning football games. So I'm all good with that. But Brian, there's a part of me that still feels like I think we could do better at center. Brian, if you somehow listen to this, it's really nothing personal. I just felt like for the longest time that we could do better, and I still almost kind of feel like we could. But then at every turn, he just continues to prove me wrong. He continues to play physically. He has the backing of Sean and Matthew. Both have said that they love him as the center and they want him as the center, and that's really all you need, Brian. So you got the words of them. I thought he played pretty well throughout the season. During the playoffs, the entire offensive line as a whole, I thought could have played better, but it was still pretty good. And he did a lot of this with like an elbow injury. He was nicked up. He was sick, and it's just he was coming off another injury, and it's just and he still was able to hold up against Lions like San Francisco. And I'm curious to see how he will do fully healthy. I would like to see him fully healthy, how he will come in year two with Matthew Stafford, and I'm hoping he can perform better. And I'm kind of rooting for him because he's continued to prove me wrong at every turn, and he's played well. So Brian, just keep grinding, and we'll see how he do. And next to him, Logan Bruss. I would like to see, depending on how he does in training camp. Obviously, we gotta see if he's even able to, learn the plays and all that. But I believe he can be inserted at that right guard position and help us right away. Very excited to see him. He's supposedly very good at run blocking, and that's something we sorely need. And I'm very excited to see him. We'll see how he does in training camp, but I am willing to bet any amount of money he'll be day one starter. So yeah, Logan Bruss, very excited to see him. And manning the right tackle position, Rob Havenstein, I think is a good choice. He's very solid. I like Rob. Number 6, Alaric Jackson. He came in, and Andrew Whitworth was hurt like in the second to last game against Baltimore, so he actually didn't play. So Joseph Noteboom took the starting role as the left tackle. And if y'all remember, because the Rams were running an extra tackle at that time, because we kept getting blasted by defensive linemen in the no-win November and earlier in the year, we had to get some bodies up there to protect Matthew. We started running that. We were a little more successful, but Andrew was hurt. So Joseph was the starter, and the extra tackle that had to come in was one Alaric Jackson, and I thought he performed pretty well in that Baltimore game. He held up pretty well, and I'm excited to see, because I think depending on how he does in camp, he could be that extra tackle for jumbo sets, 13 personnel sets, with next to Joseph Noteboom, because obviously Andrew isn't around anymore, and I'm curious to see how he does, because I thought he performed well in that one game, and as long as he keeps working out, working on his assignments, I think he'll do well. Number 7, Tremaine Akram. Hopefully he can get some reps. We just really haven't seen a whole lot of him. but we'll see. He could be a good backup reserve tackle or so. Coleman Shelton probably was our backup center. I really liked how he performed at center uh, in the. I think the I think it was against Jacksonville. He actually started at center for us, but I thought he did very well. Kind of thought he was going to be our center, but they went with Brian instead. I guess just to keep Coleman as a backup. And but I think Coleman is solid. So if something happens to Brian, knock on wood, I think Coleman can step in and man that center position with relative ease. And I think he can man the guard position too as well, in case something happens. Bobby Evans is the last person. Wasn't too impressed with Bobby. You know, he struggled a little bit, but I think he maybe is like Joseph Noteboom, where I think he might be better suited at tackle as opposed to guard. But you know, unless someone kind of surprises us in training camp, I think Bobby will probably take that last spot and will likely just have just that backup role, and hopefully we don't get to see him too much. Not to be disrespectful, Bobby, but just I mean from a injury standpoint that we won't get to see him. You know. And we are going to go ahead and jump to the defensive side of the football and kind of project the players that will make this team. And starting with the defensive line, there will be 6 defensive linemen according to this article here. And I pretty much agree with his list here. He's got number 1, Aaron Donald. And I believe that goes without saying. He certainly is definitely going to make this team. As y'all know, that is no mystery there. Number 2, Greg Gaines. Number 3, Ashawn Robinson. Number 4, Bobby Brown III, someone I'm very excited to see. Number 5, Michael Hutched. I apologize, man, if I got that wrong. And number 6, Marquise Copeland. To fill out our defensive linemen, Ernest Brown the fourth and Jonah Williams is names to be cut from this group, though I feel like they could make the practice squad and they can get them probably in a rotation if their number is called. But it just looks like that's going to be the list for right now. All right, so number 1 was Aaron Donald. You know, he's the best player in football. The man basically won us, you know, won us the NFC Championship game and won us the Super Bowl on the last play of each of those games. You know, that's something I just don't feel like will be repeated anytime soon. So I'm very glad to have him. I know there was a little bit of a worry that he may not come back. You know, it was a teeny tiny bit of drama. I don't think really anyone expected him to just leave like that. But you know, obviously, you know, contract was coming up. He wanted the payday, and he deserves it. What can I say? I mean, he's super valuable. I don't think we win the Super Bowl without him, and I'm very glad to see him return. Number 2, Greg Gaines. I thought he played very well. He was very productive. He's very athletic for a big guy. He chased down Kyler Murray pretty good in the couple of times that we played him this year. He replaced oh Lord have mercy. Oh guys, my brain is fried right now. The gentleman who unfortunately got Sebastian Joseph Day. Sebastian Joseph Day. Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Sebastian played very well. He got hurt unfortunately and was replaced by Greg Gaines. And when he got healthy again, Greg had played so well that we just decided to stick with him. And unfortunately, we lost Sebastian over the offseason, which kind of sucks. I really would have liked to keep him, but it is what it is. Greg Gaines played pretty well, and I expect him to play well again this coming season. Ashawn Robinson, like, doesn't get the love Aaron Donald does, but let me tell you something. Without Ashawn Robinson, I don't think we win the Super Bowl. Like Ashawn brought a a nasty physicality to our defense that we were sorely lacking for the first part of this season. Okay, Ashawn, it's no one's really going to talk about it, but he is like, without him, we don't win the Super Bowl. Like, he took our defense to another level. He completely shut down the running game against San Francisco in the NFC Championship game and again in the Super Bowl against the Bengals. We could not stop the run to save our lives in the first part of the season, specifically against San Francisco. Ashawn Robinson is a big reason why we were able to turn it around and we're finally able to not let dudes run up and down the field on us. He's very, very big. He's very strong. He's extremely physical. And I love what he brought to this defense. And everyone wants to talk about Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But Ashawn's kind of the, not necessarily the forgotten man, but just he doesn't get the credit. I don't think he gets enough credit as he should. Like, Ashawn was so crucial to us, and I'm very glad he's coming back. Don't really know when his contract is coming up, but if and when it does come up, he's one of the guys we need to sign and keep, because I am very, very pleased with Ashawn and how he played. I was very worried. We just weren't physical enough to go all the way, but Ashawn is a big reason why we were able to make that change mid-season. So very happy to see him. He will perform well. I expect him to perform well, if not better. Moving on, Bobby Brown III was a rookie drafted 2 years ago. I think Texas A&M is where it was. He is, he didn't really play at all last year. Very curious to see how he will do. Sometimes we like to sit on our rookies and let them kind of stew and develop for a couple of years, and then they get to play. So I we'll see how Bobby does. I'm curious to see. Hopefully he'll get some action in the preseason, pardon me, and we can kind of get a good gauge of how he's going to do for us. So very much forward looking to seeing that. Michael Hoyt, Hodge was good as a reserve player. So was Marquise Copeland. Both played well in reserve roles, from what I remember. So that's good. Good to have them on. All right, so we are moving on to the linebacker position. I think we'll have three. Number one, the big acquisition, Bobby Wagner. Very, very excited. He was probably my favorite acquisition this past offseason. Very, very skilled linebacker out of Seattle. I believe the middle linebacker position was something we had kind of been lacking from in the past several years. And I just feel like it's such an important position, and I just feel like, and Bobby comes along, I just felt it was so important that we signed him. Couldn't believe they signed him. And Bobby's going to take our defense to the next level. I'm telling y'all. This is going to work out. This is going to work out. We're going to be very happy that Bobby's on the team. He's going to take this defense to the next level. I think we can be top 5. Hopefully, knock on wood, minus crazy stuff happening like injuries, knock on wood. But Bobby is going to be so good for us. Number 2, Ernest Jones. I think Ernest is going to be good. He'll probably be taken. Bobby's probably going to take him under his wing. I thought Ernest played very, very well last year as a rookie. He seems very intelligent. He's good. In coverage, good at stopping the run. I think he is a star in the making. He played very, very well in the Super Bowl. He was all over the place. Very proud of him. And yes, I think Ernest is definitely slotted in as our number 2. Him and Bobby next to each other is going to be a force. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Number 3, Travian Howard. Travian pretty much sealed the NFC Championship game after Aaron Donald sacked Jimmy Garoppolo, he was the one who had that interception. And I think he's played very, very well in a reserve role. And I was not, it was a little bit of a head scratcher to see him get released a few months ago. But the Rams brought him back on a cheaper deal, which I believe was the intent the entire time. But glad to have Travian back. And all of a sudden, our linebacker positioning group that started as kind of a weak spot on our defense is now a position of strength. And linebacker is one of my favorite positions, and I'm very excited to see good linebacker play from these boys this upcoming season, and I think they will provide that for us. It's going to be good, and our defense is going to be legit, y'all. I'm telling you. In case something crazy happens, in case any of these dudes have been eating too many donuts over the offseason and they haven't been working out and they just get injured or they're very slower now, unless they've done something like that, which I don't feel like they have, I think we're going to be legit. So, very, very pleased with our linebacking group. I think Bobby, Ernest, and Travian will all perform very well. I think Travian will have plenty of playing time as well. Moving on. Outside linebacker, we have Leonard Floyd, Justin Hollins, Terrell Lewis, Daniel Hardy. Leonard Floyd is slotted in as a starter. I think he was a great pickup from Chicago. So obviously, I expect to see more production out of him. Justin Hollins, same as well. I thought he was very, very solid. He he got injured a little bit. He came back for the playoffs, and I thought he played very well. Terrell Lewis, I like Terrell Lewis, but he, like some of the other guys on this team, is injury prone, man. So I don't know how reliable he's going to be on that front. We'll see how it is. I expect he will probably be put on a pitch count, and they will probably rotate him in throughout the season just to avoid injury. But Terrell Lewis is good. Number 4, I disagree with this author here. He's going with Daniel Hardy, which is a bit of a surprise for me. And I will go ahead and read his paragraph that he has here. He says 4 edge rushers feel awfully light, but there aren't many positions to steal roster spots from. Hardy and Chris Garrett could be battling for the final roster spot in training camp. And though Garrett has potential, I like Hardy's upside more despite him being undersized. And that's fine. That's fine. Daniel Hardy, I am wondering how he will do in training camp. He's one of our rookies we drafted like in the 7th round. I'm curious to see how he will do. Though I feel like Chris Garrett is the better option at this point right now. I thought Chris had a very productive preseason last year, and I was actually kind of surprised he didn't really play more last year, but I expect him to have a bigger role this year. I actually think Chris Garrett takes that number 4 spot, and I think Chris is going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to do very well. I'm very excited for Chris, and I'll be rooting for him. I'll be rooting for Daniel too, man. I just feel like Chris is probably the better option, and I feel like he's the one that's probably going to get the nod. That's just me. All right, so obviously we got Jalen Ramsey a slot at number 1. Obviously he's going to make the roster. I think Jalen performed very, very well. Troy Hill, number 2. We re-required him in a trade during the draft, which was pretty surprising, but it's good to have Troy back, and excited to see how he can do. David Long Jr., I thought struggled a little bit throughout the season, but played pretty well down the stretch. Robert Rochelle was a rookie last year. I thought he played pretty well, but he was a rookie. He had his ups, he had his downs, which is par for the course. Everyone's going to make mistakes, especially rookies. So I expect him to be better. Jacoby Durant, number 5. He Jacoby's interesting because it's reported that Jalen has kind of taken him under his wing. So I guess Jalen has kind of found himself a student, Cobra Kai style, and he is teaching Jacoby Durant the ways of martial arts in football, which is pretty much just playing cornerback. It's not actually learning martial arts. Just to let y'all know, Cobra Kai is a great show. Check out Cobra Kai. Love that show. But Jacoby Durant is the student, and Jalen Ramsey's going to be teaching him the ways of playing NFL cornerback. So I'm excited to see how he will do. I've heard Deion Sanders spoke very highly of him too. So we might be seeing good things from him sooner rather than later. And number 6, Darion Kendrick. We talked about him a little bit before. He is from Georgia. He played very, very. All right, so we are moving on to the safety position. We're going to be holding 5, and Jordan Fuller is going to be number 1. Jordan is our green dot safety, and very much a fan of Jordan. He's very highly intelligent. He's a good safety. He's played very well since his rookie year. Expect to see big things out of him. Number 2, Nick Scott. Nick Scott, he's kind of risen through the ranks here. He performed very well down the stretch. If you remember, he's the guy who completely annihilated Debo Samuels in the NFC Championship game, and kind of solidified himself as a, if not a starter, of a reserve player who has a lot of playing time. I think Nick Scott will be utilized a lot more, and I think he has earned it. A big fan of Nick Scott. I'm very excited to see how he will do this upcoming season. Number 3, Taylor Rapp. Taylor, I like Taylor a lot. I do. I think the guy is a very good football player. He's very athletic. He just, he gets beat sometimes. Sometimes he's some of these wide receivers. It's very difficult, man. Some of these receivers are very, very good, and sometimes Rapp has a tendency to get beat. It is what it is. He's still a very good football player, and he will get interceptions for you, man. Taylor is a good football player. He's just, maybe it's just, he just will struggle a little bit when he's kind of like by himself sometimes. And but I do expect him to make the roster, and I think he will continue to play well. Number 4, Terrell Burgess, very, very solid. I was a big fan of Terrell his rookie year, but he got kind of a nasty injury, I think, to his knee or ankle, I forget which, but he's it was strange because I thought he would play a lot more, but I guess for whatever reason they decided not to do that, and I thought he still played well whenever he was there, but maybe that injury hadn't fully healed. That's going to be interesting. I'm actually curious to see if he will play a lot more this season because he has that extra year of rest, and maybe he's a lot more healed now. We'll see. Quentin Lake is one of our rookies, and he was in UCLA. I expect big things out of him. The Rams drafted a whole bunch of people. They got Russ Yeast. Pardon me, Russ Yeast, and but I think he'll probably get stashed on the practice squad. And yeah, I just feel like we have a good safety group here, and it's solid. And lastly, our specialists. We have our kicker, Matt Gay, definitely making the roster. Punter, Cameron Dicker. He's a new guy. We'll see how he does. And the long snapper, Matthew Orch. Sorry if I mispronounced that. They also new, so we'll see. The only question is whether Riley Dixon or Dicker wins the punting job. Riley, I think, was from the Giants. And this guy continues on in this article here, says, I'm going with youth over experience because Dixon simply hasn't been all that impressive in recent years. I agree. Plus, Dicker has experience as a kicker, which could provide value if Gay goes down at any point. Knock on wood. That's going to do it for now, guys. That is our 53-man projections ahead of training camp. And it should be a very, very exciting year. Should be a very, very exciting training camp. I expect to see a lot of training camp battles. There's a lot of storylines to keep up with. And it's going to be very, very interesting. This is a very good time to be a Rams fan. They've done a very good job in developing and constructing this team, which is something I've always been fascinated with, how to construct a football team. And it's we're in a very good position right now. We're the Super Bowl champs. We have a lot of good players, and we're in a few weeks' time, later this month. It's this month, y'all. Later this month, training camp will start, and we'll see who stands out. We'll see who makes a name for themselves. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really really fun. So thank you. If you made it all the way to the end of this podcast here, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. I don't think I say that enough, but thank you all. I will talk to you guys soon, and go Rams. So yeah. I should probably say, and as always, y'all, go Rams.